at that sizzle, baby. Smells delicious. Welcome back to Plater Recipes for another diabetic recipe. This recipe comes from a cookbook that I purchased from Barnes & Noble a while back ago called Diabetes Family Friendly Cookbook by Taste of Home. In this cookbook today, I am going to be making a recipe that sparked my interest. It's called chicken thighs with shallots and spinach. Looks good, it looks healthy, it's low in carbohydrates. One serving of this recipe has 8 grams of carbs. I'm with all of that. It looks easy, and each ingredient in this recipe can be purchased from your local grocery store. So that's a plus. So before we get started with this recipe, subscribe, like, and share my channel so that you can stay on top of when I deliver my next video recipe. Okay, so the recipes in here are simple, very easy to follow, easy that anyone can follow this recipe. What it calls for is 6 boneless chicken thighs. It calls for sour cream, low sodium chicken broth, olive oil, and 3 spices, which is seasoning salt, and pepper. It calls for spinach, fresh spinach, not frozen, and it calls for shallots. Okay? Simple, easy ingredients that you can find at your local grocery store. What I am going to do is, there's a lot of fat around these chicken thighs, so I'm going to go ahead and cut most of that fat away. I need to get some gloves. So I got my handy gloves. Now I've been reading all sorts of articles about should you wash your chicken or should you not? Because if you wash your chicken, you have a more likely chance to not clean your sink, leaving bacteria around. I don't know. I grew up, my mom always washed her chicken, so I do wash my chicken. So this was already washed. I just make sure that I truly, thoroughly wash my sink with some type of bleach, whether it's Clorox cleaning spray or whatever it is. I really try and wash my sink. I don't know. I just have a problem with not washing my meat. So this meat was already washed, and all I'm doing here is basically removing most of the fat from the chicken. So let me grab a bowl to throw this in. Actually, we can use this bowl since I'm not, this measuring cup, since I'm not using it, and discard our fat from the chicken thighs. And I'm really kind of glad that this recipe called for chicken thighs, because I believe that chicken thighs hold a lot more flavor than chicken breasts, and chicken thighs also holds a lot more moisture than your normal chicken breast. So when I saw this recipe, I was truly really excited to try this because of the fact that I know it's going to have flavor and it's going to be moist. So I'm going to go ahead and continue removing most of the fat from my chicken, and then we'll move on to the next step of the recipe. Sprinkled chicken with seasoning, salt, and pepper. I'm trying to give you guys the actual review of this recipe without trying to alter it too much to give you, you know, because I feel like if you are diabetic, just because you're diabetic, you should not have to jeopardize flavor. So that was most of the seasoning, salt, and pepper in our spice dish. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this coated. That's the sound of chicken, honey. Bathing in some spices. You know, and not too often, you know, I don't really come across too many recipes that call for seasoning salt. So I was kind of impressed. And you know, for my people out there that have heart conditions, they do have a low sodium seasoning salt out there. And it's made by Lawry's. So, you know, I've bought that before in the past. I've tried it. And I didn't feel like I was jeopardizing any type of flavor, you know, by buying the low sodium seasoning salt from Lawry's. It was actually pretty good. Okay, so my meat's all coated with the spices. I'm gonna remove my gloves and set those to a side in the trash. Okay, now the recipe says, in a large skillet, coat with cooking spray, heat oil over medium heat, add chicken, cook 6 minutes on each side or until thermometer reaches 170 degrees. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and cook the chicken in a non-stick skillet. I sprayed it with some olive oil, cooking spray. So we're gonna cook it for 6 minutes on each side. And then, or until it reaches 170 degrees. And then we're gonna move on to the next phase of the recipe. The recipe also calls for thinly sliced shallots. So I got these shallots from my local grocery store, which is easily found by your onions. So I'm going to go ahead and thinly slice this while my chicken thighs are cooking. And what really attracted me to this recipe was the cost of it. It's really inexpensive, and it calls for chicken thighs, which I was really impressed with because chicken thighs is usually less expensive than chicken breast. So I'm actually going to cut this end off, and we're just going to thinly slice it. It's a slice, not diced. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and just thinly slice these. I'm not a master chef or anything like that, so don't critique me on my knife skills. It's definitely a skill that is to be learned. Definitely. So I'm gonna go ahead and slice these. Now shallots to me kind of reminds me of red onions. They're light, or actually this is lighter than a red onion, but it still has a little sweetness to it. So they're pretty good. Pretty good. Let me get a bowl to put these in while my chicken is cooking. So I'm going to go ahead and finish chopping up my shallot. I remember as a child, I used to always think we had to wear goggles to do onions because they make you cry. And I haven't learned the trick on how to get it to not make you cry. So if you learn that trick, please send a comment, put a comment below and share that with me because I'm crying. Anyhow, that's enough shallots, okay? So let's go ahead, flip our chicken. We're going to cook this for an additional 6 minutes. Or until it reaches 170 degrees. Okay. Alrighty. So our chicken thighs are cooked. They've reached the correct temperature. So the recipe says to remove them from the heat. And I have them on a medium-high heat. So the recipe now calls for us to, in the same pan, cook and stir shallots until tender. So we're going to add our shallots to the same pan. So we're going to stir these until tender. Okay. Which doesn't take long. Then it says, the recipe actually calls for white wine or reduced sodium chicken broth. I'm going to go ahead and use chicken broth. So we're going to go ahead and this only takes a few minutes. Okay. Our shallots. They look nice and toasty. So then I'm going to add my chicken broth to the pan. Look at that sizzle, baby. It smells delicious. Okay. We're going to let this reduce by half. Oh, that smells delicious. I gotta put y'all in there. Y'all gotta see what I'm talking about. Look at that. Just sizzling. Oh, delicious. Okay. I just had to do it. I'm sorry. Okay. Okay. So that reduced pretty quickly because the pan was hot. So now it says to add in our spinach, and we're going to add 1 whole bag of spinach. And it says to add in our salt. So we're going to add in the rest of our spices. We're going to cook, let the spinach wilt. You get it heated all the way through and wilt. It says add spinach and salt and cook and stir just until spinach is wilted. Then we're going to stir in our sour cream. So it doesn't take spinach really long to wilt. So I'm going to go ahead and let the spinach do this. Maybe cook it for a few minutes and we'll be back. Okay guys, our spinach is wilted. So next it tells us to add in our sour cream. So I'm going to go ahead and add in the sour cream. Part of me wish I had like a little squeeze of lemon juice, but the recipe doesn't call for it. So we're not going to put it in. Okay. Isn't this the cutest little spatula? Like, it's so cute. I think we got this in IKEA in Atlanta, but I bought it for my daughter when she was younger because she likes to cook too. And I thought it would give her some encouragement, it being suitable for her size. But she's a lot older now, so she doesn't use it. I do, which is fine with me. It serves its purpose. So we're gonna go ahead and get all of these ingredients incorporated, like it says, mixed very well. Okay. And that looks pretty good. So now we're gonna go ahead and plate our dish. Alright guys, my recipe is complete, or actually it's not mine, but the recipe that I made for you guys today is complete. So we're going to go ahead and give it a taste. This is the chicken thighs with shallots and spinach. So we're going to go ahead and give it a try. It definitely smelled good while I was cooking it. So let's see if it tastes good as well. So I'm going to grab some of the spinach with the chicken. Let's see. I like it. I love spinach. I love chicken. I love onions. And I love sour cream. This is actually a pretty good dish. Easy to make. It took me no more than 30 minutes to make this dish. And I made 6 chicken thighs. It's nice, it's moist. It definitely has flavor. I would give this a 2 thumbs up. I would say you should try this dish from Taste of Home, Diabetes, family-friendly cookbook. Definitely worth it. If you would like to see plated recipes, prepare more recipes for individuals with heart disease, renal disease, as well as diabetics, please subscribe, like, and share so that you are notified when I upload my next video. Thanks for watching.